Julian, often known as Julian the Apostate, was the 71st Roman emperor, reigning from 361 to 363 AD. His life and rule are particularly significant due to his attempts to revive traditional Roman paganism and his opposition to Christianity, which was increasingly gaining influence in the empire during his time. Julian's short reign is marked by military campaigns, philosophical pursuits, and religious reforms, leaving a lasting imprint on Roman history. Julian was born in 331 or 332 AD in Constantinople to a prominent but troubled family. His father was Julius Constantius, a half-brother of Emperor Constantine the Great, and his mother was Blandina, a member of the royal family of Gaul. After the deaths of his father and brother, Julian's early life was marked by political intrigue and danger. His family's connection to the ruling Constantine dynasty made him a potential target for those who wished to secure their own power. In 337 AD, after Constantine's death, Julian's close family members were executed, leaving him and his half-brother Gallus as the only surviving male relatives. The two boys were taken under the custody of Constantius II, the son of Constantine, who became emperor after his father's death. Constantius, wary of any potential rival claimants, kept Julian and Gallus under close surveillance, effectively imprisoning them in a secluded life at the imperial court. However, during this period, Julian had access to classical education, studying philosophy, rhetoric, and literature, particularly the works of Greek philosophers. This intellectual environment shaped much of his later beliefs and his disdain for Christianity. The political landscape of the Roman Empire was fraught with tension during Julian's early years. Constantius II, after consolidating his power, made Julian's half-brother Gallus Caesar in 351 AD, but Gallus's erratic behavior led to his execution in 354 AD. This left Julian as the last surviving male relative of Constantine, but for many years he was largely sidelined. However, in 360 AD, Constantius II faced a growing threat from the Persian Empire under Shapur II in the east, and his western territories were embroiled in instability. At this time, he sought to secure the loyalty of the army by promoting his cousin, Julian, to the rank of Caesar, a junior emperor, and assigning him to command the western provinces, especially Gaul, which had been suffering from invasions by Germanic tribes. Julian proved to be a highly effective military leader, securing his position by stabilizing the region and successfully repelling barbarian incursions. His strategic brilliance and growing popularity among the troops played a crucial role in the events that followed. In 361 AD, after the sudden death of Constantius II, possibly due to illness, Julian declared himself emperor, asserting his claim to the throne. Upon his accession, Julian faced immediate challenges, including the need to consolidate power and contend with political rivals. His reign, though brief, was marked by his distinctive religious views and attempts to reassert paganism within the empire. Julian had been raised a Christian, but as he grew older, he became increasingly critical of the religion, particularly its growing influence in the imperial court. This led him to embrace Neoplatonism and to advocate for the restoration of traditional Roman polytheism. Julian's hostility towards Christianity, which he saw as a threat to the traditional Roman values, earned him the epithet apostate, from the Greek apostasia, meaning defection or abandonment. He tried to reverse the policies of his predecessors, notably Constantine, who had made Christianity the favored religion of the empire. Julian prohibited Christians from teaching classical subjects like rhetoric and philosophy, which were integral to the pagan educational system. He also attempted to re-establish the traditional priesthoods and even started the rebuilding of the Temple of Jerusalem, although this was never completed. Despite his attempts to reinstate paganism, Julian's religious reforms were largely unsuccessful in the long run. Christianity had deeply entrenched itself in the empire, and Julian's measures were more symbolic than transformative. His opposition to Christianity was, however, one of the most defining aspects of his reign. Julian's military ambitions were not confined to internal religious reforms. He also sought to strengthen the Roman Empire's eastern frontier. In 363 AD, he launched an ambitious campaign against the Sasanian Persian Empire to secure Roman control over territories in the east. This campaign, however, proved disastrous. Julian led his army deep into Persian territory, but logistical difficulties, harsh weather, and supply shortages hampered their progress. The Persians, under King Shapur II, engaged in a series of devastating skirmishes, gradually wearing down the Roman forces. During the retreat from Persia, Julian was fatally wounded in a skirmish, possibly by a Persian spear, although there were rumors that he was struck by one of his own soldiers or that it was an assassination. He died shortly thereafter, on June 26, 363 AD, at the age of 32. Julian's death marked the end of the Flavian dynasty and the beginning of a more unstable period in the Roman Empire. His death was followed by the swift rise of Jovian, a commander in Julian's army, who quickly negotiated peace with the Persians and returned many of the territories Julian had lost. Despite his relatively short reign, Julian remains a figure of historical intrigue. His efforts to restore paganism were largely reversed in the years after his death, and the rise of Christianity continued unabated. His military failures, particularly the disastrous Persian campaign, are often seen as a blemish on an otherwise promising reign. However, Julian's reign has also been remembered for his intellectual depth and his efforts to maintain the cultural and religious traditions of Rome. His writings, particularly his philosophical works and letters, provide valuable insight into his thoughts on governance, religion, and society. His complex legacy as a ruler who simultaneously promoted religious intolerance and intellectual openness continues to be the subject of scholarly debate. In the centuries following his death, Julian was admired by certain intellectual circles, particularly in the Renaissance, for his attempts to preserve the classical heritage of Rome. Today, he is often regarded as one of the last defenders of the ancient Roman world before the ascendancy of Christianity and the eventual decline of the Western Roman Empire. Julian the Apostate's reign, though short, was one of the most fascinating and controversial periods in Roman history. His efforts to reverse the course of Christianization and reinstate pagan religious practices left an indelible mark on his legacy, even if his policies were largely ineffective. In the end, Julian's reign serves as a reminder of the cultural and religious upheavals that characterized the late Roman Empire, as well as the tensions between tradition and transformation that shaped the course of Western history.